we sit in this place, let your presence, O God, guide us. We commit every plan that we have in this place before your throne. Father, may you start with us and finish with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Honorable Moses Bitoteka, MP, representative from the Attorney General's office, Mr. Kunita, council members, members of the Institute of Resilience, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this important occasion of the Zambia Institute of Resilience, making the first steps towards the realization of the resilience business in Zambia since the Act was assented to on the 23rd of December 2000. We are here to lay the foundation, a strong foundation, institutional foundation for the present and the future, and you agree with me that the only way to have this process of legalization in our sector is to have a very firm and professional institute based on defined rules and regulations. On this occasion, the main agenda for this action is for the members to contribute towards the rules and regulations that will govern the conduct of the estate agents business in the country for the interests of the public and indeed the estate agents themselves. It is our duty as members to contribute positively and constructively towards the ASI, which is to be soon signed by the Ministry of Government and Housing. This commencement order will make the Estate Agents Act of number 21 of 2000 operational. As you may be aware, the Act has been there for 10 years, but it's not operational. Why we are here today is to start that in the steps, is to make steps towards the commencement of this act. Our chief guest, our Honorable Deputy Minister of Local Government and Housing, we are also here to acquaint our members with the provisions of the act. And in this regard, we have invited experts from an expert from the Attorney General's office to provide guidance. This is an indication how the council the situation in the real estate sector. I would like to ask the participants to deliberate freely and exhaust all the necessary submissions, as this is the only chance and opportunity to contribute towards the legalization of the sector. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would like to call upon our guest of honor to address this gathering and declare this workshop officially open. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Normally when we say a sizable number, I always demand or I request that we know each other so that even when the function is over, we're able to call each other without saying they say, hey, James coming, Moses coming, you know. So if it is allowed, I would have allowed anybody to stand up from the starting point, maybe here or there, to say the full names and the part of your CV. Who are you presenting and certain things which you would like us to know. Probably that way I'm much comfortable to understand each other properly. I don't know if it's agreeable. If it's not, yes, I'll go straight into my business. What is the chairman saying? I'm agreeable with that, and I think it starts from here. Sure. My name's Solve Pindi. I'm the chief executive of Housing Properties. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Education. I hold a Master of Business Administration, an MBA. I have an advanced diploma in Public International Law and certificate in law. And an entrepreneur. Thank you.
Treasurer for the Zambia Institute of Estate Agents. I'm also Operations Director at Congo and Practice. I hold a certificate in estate agency from the Institute of Estate Agents in South Africa and have 7 years experience in Zambian estate agent.
My name is Lombo Chikonde. I'm representing Joseph Chikonde, property consultant, Mark Associates. I'm also a co-director of Mark Associates. I have a degree in education. I've worked in various places in government. Now I want to come and settle in Mark Associates and be the managing director.
I'm Tony Rapa, council member, and I run in Desmond Realtors. I've been in the business since 2000. I have a certificate from the University of Zambia in Business Administration, and also I've worked in both in government and private sector. Thank you.
My name is Alfred Mwanza. I represent Freedom National Estates, coming from Kafue. Briefly, I work with SP Mulling Associates 2002 to 2003. Went to South Africa where I did course in estate agency at the Board of that. Currently, I'm a student in Intertech College, Paralegal. And so that's brings me here with Zambia Institute of Estate Agency.
Mawele, representing Bureau of Relations Affairs. I can't say much about my CV, but I've been in the profession for 21 years. Thank you.
My name is Logan Nyasulu, the Vice Chairman of the Council. I currently work for Zambian National Building Society, where I'm Senior Manager for Property and Estates. I hold a bachelor's degree in land economy, a master of business administration, and a Master of Arts in economic policy management.
Thank you very much. You can tell that we have a very experienced team, very strong team, very reliable team coming from all walks of life. I want to congratulate you for what you have done in your life. However, on a simple term, I have not heard anybody who is married, who has children, who is Lozi, Tonga, nothing. You don't have respect for where you come from and your wives and your families. So next time, please learn to say I'm a father of three, polygamist, or things like that. Because we need to be. Of course, for my colleagues from government, is reserved for a while. Yes, this morning I'm tasked to come and speak and officiate this function. Initially, it was my colleague, Honorable Muchima, who had been prepared for this, but is not well. And hence, at a short notice, it was delegated to me. Hence, I'm here. And equally myself, I'm not very good. The voice is not good. I've got some bit of flu, but I'll be able to communicate to you. The chairman, Mr. Kiwempindi, the vice chairperson, Mr. Nyasulu, the members of the institute in your respective capacities, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I recognize the presence of Mr. Nkunika, the consultant from the Ministry of Justice. First, allow me to express my profound thanks and gratitude for inviting me to come here and participate and be a true witness to what my Minister of Local Government and Housing would describe as an achievement and momentous important national event, the Getting the Estate Agents Act of 2000 into an effective law. Ladies and gentlemen, the process of concluding putting the Estate Agent Act of 2000 into an effective and progressive law is a clear landmark, bearing in mind that this act has taken 10 years now without reaching this wonderful stage taking place today. As government, indeed, we appreciate this function, and government attaches great importance, taking into account consideration the period it has taken from the date of enactment 10 years ago. For this reason, let me congratulate your Institute of Estate Agents. Distinguished members, invited guests, the estate agents profession and sector had suffered a lot as a result of prolonged delay to put this act into effective law, and some of the underlying losses are the revenue deficit that resulted from this delay in terms of tax for the government, also income for agents in huge amounts, which could have improved lives. When your institution recently organized an extraordinary meeting where the current ZIEA Council was elected, my government through the ministry was keen to participate in this, and as you may recall, we were ably represented at your AGM, that's annual general meeting. I'm very delighted to note that the council elected then has not gone to sleep, but has worked very tirelessly to achieve this occasion. I think they deserve a pat on their back. Where a lot of people have expressed interest, how am I going to recognize the agent? Then when you find out from them, they will tell you that if it appears, can give you certificates to which finders who are identified in the villages. What more young people who look more advanced and civilized? So this is a great concern of the council and your chairman here to say, can we move fast? And hence today's function, which we are very grateful. Today's program is extremely important, and through your deliberations today, important components of your draft statutory instrument, SI, prepared in 2003 will be either confirmed or amended. If for any reason your recommendations today are faulty, however, this will be seen in the regulation of the sector as you proceed. This process today deserves extreme seriousness on the part of all of you members of the Institute present here. My ministry, therefore, expects excellent recommendations from here, which will result in a robust statutory instrument that will make the Act effectual. Therefore, I appeal to everyone present to concentrate and contribute effectively and meaningfully towards this event. My ministry will be eagerly waiting for the finalization of this process taking place today, and will wait for your council to forward the outcome to my ministry for onward transmission to the Ministry of Justice for the commencement order to be drafted as soon as possible. In conclusion, distinguished members, I wish to assure you that the ministry is seriously supportive of you and will render any guidance that will be required to make this act effective, and in the process to enable the estate agency sector take its rightful position in the economy. Therefore, I wish to congratulate you for the efforts made to reach this stage, and want to encourage the council, the chairman, the vice chairman to remain focused. May the good Lord bless you, and I thank you. With these two remarks, I therefore declare this function this morning officially open. Give you a reason why I'm rushing. You know, Fridays we attend Parliament in the morning, so I just spared a few minutes to come and rush to Parliament. So please, I beg your forgiveness. Okay.
The Act essentially provides that a person registered as an estate agent under the Act is a member, can be a member of the institute. It also provides that any other person who is not registered as an estate agent may be admitted to membership of the institute. So, in terms of the classes of membership of the institute, the Act provides for full membership, associate membership, student membership, as well as honorary membership. Now, in terms of the detail of the various categories of membership, because the Act has made classifications generally, the Council is left with the freedom to determine what the criteria for qualification for these various categories of membership is. And so, essentially what the Council will do is it will, during the course of its operations, whether it's through a constitution or some other governing document, actually lay out more detail on how the general operation of the Council as well as the membership is effected. When we go to which essentially deals with the Council of the Institute. Part 3 essentially states that the Council is the governing body of the Institute and has the authority in the name of the Institute to perform the functions conferred on the Institute by the Act. Because the Institute is a legal person, it needs what is the equivalent of a board of directors of a company, for instance, to perform the executive functions of the Institute. And that is the reason why the Council is established. The Act also provides for the composition of the Council, but the main issue to note is that the Council is actually the governing body of the Institute. So in terms of the decisions that the Institute makes, they make the decisions through the Council. And the Council is also empowered to delegate its functions when it feels the need. It can delegate any or all of its functions to any person under the Act. This is in order to ensure that there's always continuity in the administration of the Act. But the mere fact that the Council can delegate its functions to another person does not mean that the Council then loses its functions or authority over that person. It still remains entitled to exercise its functions in full despite delegating part of those functions to another person. So there's no instance where the Council loses its authority as a result of delegating its functions. When you go to Part 4 of the Act, this part provides for the registration of estate agents. In summary, it sets out the powers of the registrar. It also provides for applications for registration as an estate agent and the qualifications and procedures for registration, as well as issues relating to publication of the register of estate agents. When you look at Section 12 specifically, this section relates generally to the membership of the institute, and it actually says a person is not qualified to be registered as an estate agent if that person, or rather a person is qualified to be registered as an estate agent if that person possesses such qualifications as the minister on the recommendation of the council by statutory instrument prescribes. So the minister actually has to stipulate what qualifications the council requires for a person to be recognized and registered as an estate agent under this act. And the person, in order to practice, has to be a member of the institute. Now, you will note that previously the former institute existed as a society registered under the Societies Act. Now, with this change that has come in of statutory institute, the consequence of that is that there are other obligations which are statutory in nature. And some of these obligations have corresponding sanctions. And so it is very important for members who practice as estate agents to be aware of what is permitted in terms of practicing as an estate agent under the Act, because the Act actually provides sanctions for misconduct, as we will see as we go along. In terms of the personal business account, this is where the person engaged in the profession of being an estate agent has to be diligent in how they operate their business, because of the aspect of having unlimited liability by virtue of being registered as a business name or as a firm, as opposed to being registered, for instance, as a company where liability tends to be limited. In terms of future operations of the Act, if it is observed that there is need to change this particular requirement, the Council can take that up and liaise with the Ministry of Local Governments to see if such issues can be addressed and these provisions of the Act revised, because you are all aware that it's been 10 years since the enactment of the legislation, so a number of things may have changed in the industry that may necessitate a few revisions going forward, especially when the Act becomes operational. The Act also provides that a person who is registered as an estate agent shall not practice or carry on business on that person's own account or without the direction or control of an estate agent practicing or carrying on business on the estate agent's own account, and who has practiced or carried on business for 5 years or more, unless that person has attained the age of 18 and has completed a period of 3 years of practical training to the satisfaction of the Council under the direction and control of an estate agent. Because of the nature of the issues involved in estate agency business, especially with regard to formulating leases and buying or selling of properties, and the attendant legal obligations that these transactions have, it's necessary that a person who wishes to practice as an estate agent should have some basic training, because there are legal implications of the functions of an estate agent. And these legal implications should not be underrated, because they have far-reaching consequences. Because you'll notice that dealing with property is actually an issue that starts from the Constitution itself and flows through a number of pieces of legislation. So, in as far as a person may assume that it's a very straightforward thing to be an estate agent and deal with property. That is not the case because of other legal implications of the practice of being an estate agent. I'll give you a very basic example. When you look at agricultural land, for instance, the tenure system in terms of agricultural properties and the procedures which are used for disposal of such properties and the obligations tied to it are slightly different from other property that you can dispose of generally. And this is because most of the time you find that agricultural property is either subject to liens or agricultural credits, and they are regulated by specific legislation which is quite different from general legislation relating to mortgages and charges and things like that. So that is something that has to be borne in mind in the practice of being an estate agent. I think by far the most important part of the Act relates to Part 6. As in any profession, the management of clients' monies is a very, on whose behalf an estate agent receives or holds money in the course of business. You will notice that the definition of client is on whose behalf an estate agent receives or holds money. So it is not restricted merely to a person on whose behalf an estate agent receives or holds money. It might be some other person whose interest an estate agent is looking after, or it might be a third party who entrusts an estate agent to take care of monies on behalf of someone else who is conducting a business transaction. So this essentially means that the duty goes beyond the person who an estate agent has a face-to-face client interaction with, keep books of accounts and accounts in such a manner agent's clients. So you're supposed to maintain a client account which is separate, which has monies received or paid on the estate agent's own account. And this separation is a very strict one, and it's found in other professions as well. And essentially, even when you're an estate agent, you are not allowed to use funds from your client's account to finance your business. And because of that, there is actually a compensation fund established where all estate agents are required to make contributions to that fund, so that in the unlikely event that an estate agent uses money from a client's account, a client is not affected. They are compensated immediately from the fund. So the requirement that the fund should actually be insured in order that even if the financial institutions are in the fund are never lost, so that the clients do not suffer any loss as a result of the operations in the profession. So more details on how the compensation fund operates. An example of another profession where the compensation fund is established is in the legal profession. There's a compensation fund there as well, and it essentially has the same purpose as the compensation fund under this Act. And one cannot practice as an estate agent without paying money into the fund. And once someone has paid money into the fund in compliance with the Act, they are issued with a certificate that they have paid money into the compensation fund. Part 8 of the Act, and the main ones have to do with the practice as an estate agent. on suspension from practice shall not practice or offer to practice as or hold oneself out to be an estate agent. Also, it's an offense for any person to adopt or to use or exhibit the title of estate agent or similar titles without actually being an estate agent. It's also an offense for any person to do anything that is likely to lead another person to believe that this person is an estate agent. And a person who contravenes the provisions of the part of offenses and penalties commits an offense, and if they are convicted, they are liable to a fine not exceeding 200,000 penalty units, or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 4 years, or they may be fined and imprisoned. So those are the general offenses that are under the Act in Part 7. When we look at Part 9 of the Act, Part 9 has miscellaneous provisions. These are general provisions that just provide for certain matters under the Act. For instance, there's a provision that deals with fees and charges for services, and this essentially says that the Minister, on the recommendation of the Council, can prescribe fees by statutory instrument for fees and other charges for services rendered by estate agents. The other provisions deal with the Council being required to submit annual reports to the Minister on behalf of the Institute. This part also provides for appeals, and it essentially gives the right to an estate agent or a member of the Institute who is aggrieved by a decision of the Council or the Disciplinary Committee to appeal to the High Court against such a decision. So, if a person has been subjected to disciplinary proceedings or any other decision made by the Council which they are unhappy with, they have the right to challenge such a decision to the High Court. And if they are dissatisfied with the decision of the High Court, they can also appeal to the Supreme Court. So they can make their appeal all the way to the Supreme Court. This part also empowers the Minister to make regulations for the purposes of the Act. And in this particular case, the provision is general, so it gives greater flexibility to the Minister to actually come up with regulations that are very relevant and specifically targeted to the profession, to ensure that the Act is administered effectively. In practice, how this is done is that the Minister always consults with the stakeholders, the members of the Council, and the people who will be affected by such regulations. So it's an open process, and it's generally based on consensus. And so all the members who have the desire to see that the Act is implemented effectively and want to see the profession go forward are required to make positive inputs to this process. Because at the end of the day, these regulations affect each and every one of us, and therefore it is important that the Minister is making regulations based on an informed decision, and regulations that are consistent with the needs of the profession and society in general. That is where I will end my presentation.
With me that we will shortly be breaking for minutes to just have our tea and 11 hours. So let me just check. Let's make it 11:20. 11:20. Let's please make our way back in here. So the tea will be for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, it was not like it was intentional, but it just happened.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your tea, your coffee. Indicated when we were just about to break. Rain, and this will be the opportunity. And just so that we might have order, I'll try to be taking 3 or so questions.
About 2 questions. On behalf of the membership, I would like to ask Mr. Kunika to clarify on these 2 issues. Firstly, as we have heard the interpretation of the law, I want to find out if a legal practitioner, lawyer, is allowed to market and sell immovable property for commission. Equally, to go to the financial surveyors. Are they allowed to market and sell property, immovable property, for a commission? I need some clarification on that. The other one is to regard to the disciplinary committee. Some of the powers for the committee, the disciplinary committee, is to summon members to come and answer to allegations of misconduct. There is a provision that in case a member, someone, refuses to come, anybody refuses to come, could be fined or taken in for 3 months. I would like to find out the procedure. What will be the procedure for the committee to take punishment up to 3 months imprisonment? How will be the procedure?
I just want to probably amplify the question relating to disciplinary action. Like with all regulations, the most difficult thing is enforceability. How do you enforce whatever decision the committee will make? And secondly, how do you apply the disciplinary actions to people who are not members of the institute?
In terms of the legal profession in relation to dealing with their statute allows them to practice committees non-contentious business, and they have rules for the practice of conveyancing as well as how they are supposed to do it. When you look at the functions of an estate agent basically puts people in touch to buy and sell property as the core function of their business. A legal practitioner is not allowed to solicit clientele for the purpose of conducting conveyancing. So what happens in the legal profession is that in the absence of a person actually going to a legal practitioner and informing that legal practitioner that they want to sell property to another person, the legal practitioner does not then perform the function of buying and selling real estate. As regards the aspect of commission, again, there is a fixed fee which a legal practitioner is supposed to charge by statute, and they cannot deviate from that fee. So if a person opts to use a legal practitioner, they may do so. If they are sufficiently competent enough to perform a transaction on their own without recourse to a legal practitioner or indeed to an estate agent, then they are also allowed to do that as the law stands. There's nothing that compels an individual to go either to an estate agent or a legal practitioner. So, related to that, let me deal with Mr. Casas's question as well. In terms of other decisions that the council makes, for instance, to suspend, things like that, those ones the council enforces itself, and because the council exercises the functions of the institute. If the council decides to suspend an estate agent, the council will send either the registrar or an officer delegated by the registrar to the estate agent's office and collect the certificate. If they give an estate agent a time within which to surrender the certificate, after that time lapses, they can go and collect it. And then they would do the appropriate notices in the Gazette. As regards selling property on commission and advertising sale of property as just as an issue where a lawyer says there's property X and I am selling it on behalf of someone, that is not permissible. And if someone comes across an instance like that, it means such a lawyer is engaged in misconduct, because the only time they advertise property for sale is if they are doing it on behalf of a mortgagee in possession as an incident of a liquidation or another similar matter. So I hope this time around I've addressed the
instances where you find that a buyer calls, he wants you to meet at a certain point. Okay, he tells you maybe the property is in, let's say it's in Avondale, then you are operating from town. Then he tells you to jump on a bus if you don't have your own transport, or drive your own car to that property. Okay, so what sort of cost should be there? Because there should be some cost sharing. Because in most cases we rely on the client's transport. Let's say if you are going to view. In that instance, there's no point of asking for a view. Now in the event where a client tells you to jump on a bus or on a private car to go and show him a property somewhere, how do you look at that point?
And then I personally, as contact visitors, we don't charge anything with you because clients complain a lot. And most estate agents, they will take a client they will show a client a property which is not even theirs, you see. What's simply because they want money from the clients. And a lot of clients complain actually. They even ask before you take them whether you are charging them viewing fee or not. So if you have to charge viewing fee, you must make it a mandatory, and it must be a fixed amount of money, which, because there was a client who was complaining that he was charged, I think, about 300,000 just to go and view a property, you see, and the property was not even his. So I think probably if you have to charge viewing fee, there must be a certain amount each everybody should be charging, or we don't charge at all.
Okay, a very big issue. I think from what I got in his explanation, it was related to the logistics that are involved in getting the client to see the property. So in some cases, it just falls flat. Okay, so but I don't think it should become a very big issue. But I'll still allow Mr. Nkuhinga to make a comment, and then the chairman also will add some comment there. Let me just take another question so that we have the set of three.
On the same issue, I'm sure for now, this issue continue because we have a lot in the field who are just everywhere and don't use street. So we leave it until that enactment is done. Can I then this time know that do we have to prescribe it? If I have to sell property, there's a contract. Do we have a prescribed contract from standard per se? Or as the case is, that's an argument which I had one time between the lawyers and myself.
Okay, hello.
Not immediately related to the issue of review. In terms of contracts related to property, the only formal legal requirement that is there is that a contract conforms to the statute of frauds of the UK, or is it 1644? And what that act says is that when you are entering into a contract for the sale of property, the contract should identify the parties and the property and the amount which the property is going for. As long as those three formal requirements are met, the form in which the contract takes is neither here nor there, because it's a question of style, how the person drafts it. From the perspective of the Law Association, they have standardized how a contract is done. For their purposes, they have a standard template for a contract. But generally, as long as the contract fulfills all the legal requirements for a contract relating to the sale of land, it is a valid contract and it is enforced in any court.
And then number 3 is the estate agent's mandate. Well, estate agent's mandate. An estate agent may not claim to represent a seller or landlord or buyer or tenant unless he has been mandated to do so. Furthermore, the estate agent must act in accordance with the lawful instructions of a principal, except where to do so would be contrary to good conduct as an estate agent. You know, mandate is a big issue. This one also, it's common on our market, whereby especially these so-called freelance estate agents, they just get a rumor, they pick a rumor that a property is on sale. They don't even know the owner, you know. And then they begin to go again from office to office that I have a property which is on sale. What is the property which is on sale? Oh, this house which is situated like this is on sale. Can you get a buyer so that we get a commission and, you know, share the commission? Probably if you fall for it, you even go ahead and get a buyer. You know, the point of maybe even viewing, you begin to have problems because the person who has brought the property has no mandate to sell that property. You know, it does not mean that every property that is on the market, you know, anybody should just jump on it and begin selling. As professionals, we are only allowed to market properties where we have mandates. It is unethical to begin to market someone's property when you have not been given the mandate to do so. The best of the agent's knowledge and ability in the performance of the agent's functions as an estate, that you are the owner of the property, claim to be an expert in an area where you are not, markets the property at a price rather than the agreed price, or use a name that misleads or confuses the public. Some of you have had an experience, and I'm pretty sure that you agree with me, that there are estate agents out there who use wrong methods to get properties for sale. You know, I've had situations whereby a client will come to me, you know, to find out, to consult the price at which they may sell their property. And you know, normally the way I operate as a professional, I'm very honest, I'm very frank. You know, because if I don't tell the clients the truth, at the end of the day, I'll be under pressure. You know, if you tell a lie, you have to sustain it. And you know, if a client asks me, even if they have a valuation for a property for say 2 billion, really, if I don't think the property will go at 2 billion, I'll tell them, no sir, I don't think this property can go at 2 billion. Because if I tell you you can sell at 2 billion and then you give me the property, I will not be able to sell. And what explanation am I going to be giving? You know? Now, you know, what I'm trying to say, what I want to put forward here, you know, these clients are intelligent. You know, a number of times, actually not once, many times, I've had situations where the client begins to reveal how they went to agent so and so. And they were told that they could sell the property at this much. And then they went on to sign the mandate with that agency. And then that agency just kept quiet. Number one, they did not bring any prospective buyer to even come and view the property. Number two, they never even called back. So, you know, what do you gain if you misrepresent facts and then, you know, you cannot perform? So, you know, let's always observe to make sure that we do the right thing. Number 8, communication of offers by estate agent. Unless otherwise instructed in writing by the principal, an estate agent must communicate to the principal all offers to purchase, sell or lease real estate or a business made to the estate agent, whether those offers were made verbally or in writing, as soon as possible after the offer has been made. We are under obligation as a state agent to communicate all the offers that we receive to the person that we are representing. Now, I was looking at our draft SI, I think there's an issue that we have raised, which we'll be submitting. We raised it as a group, whereby the restriction is placed on communication of offers. You can only communicate an offer which is in writing. But if you look at the way things happen, especially on our market, offers are done verbally, isn't it? Normally somebody will call you and tell you that I'm ready to, take this property at so much. They are not usually done in writing. And this extract, I believe I got it, I believe I got it from, I think it's the Australian Institute. They talk about all offers, whether the offer is in writing or it's verbal. You are under obligation to communicate it to the seller. At office, an agent who personally carries on an agency business must frequently attend or be present at the offices at which the agency business is conducted. This particular rule, I should say, I got it from the Australian regulatory body. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but it really fascinated me, and I thought that probably we could even adopt it, as an institute. You can imagine you sell a property, and you get your commission, quite all right. And, due to one reason or another, the buyer decides to come back and check on one thing or another at the place where the transaction happened. They really, really need to get hold of you. Probably there's a document they need. The office is closed. Tomorrow they come, morning, the office is closed. In the afternoon, there is no one. Maybe they phone, oh, I'll be at the office. Oh, okay, no, I'll be there within 30 minutes. They come there, they wait for 30 minutes, there is no one. I really think that it's really not good. It's unethical, in fact, isn't it? As agents, if we operate like that, I think we become moving targets, maybe if I may say that. You have no abode. Where you are supposed to be found, you are not there, And I think that if we operate like that, we do not deserve to be trusted. People cannot trust us, really. Because if I say I'm found in room 1 at, maybe Chester House, room whatever, room 1, the people that I've dealt with should come to room 1 and be able to see me there, whatever inquiry they may have, whatever query, they should find me at my registered office. If they don't find me, it is really unfortunate. It's just like somebody who sells a property and decides to switch off their phone. It's the same, isn't it? So it is very, very important that we are found at the office where we are registered. And the last one, advice on correct price. An estate agent engaged to sell or purchase any real estate must do what the agent considers to be the current market price of that real estate or property, and if requested, give reasons for that opinion. I think I touched on that earlier. It is very, very important that we advise our clients. Loyalty, some agents think that when they misadvise or they go by what the client is saying, that means maybe you are respecting the client, but loyalty, what I believe, what I believe, and from my experience as an estate agent, loyalty calls for being honest. If you are loyal to someone, you will never lie to them. Am I correct? Your very loyalty to your client should make you to tell them the truth, even though you know that when you tell them the truth, you may lose the business. I think it is better that you tell them the truth. And in fact, it is very, very likely that when you tell the truth, that business will bounce back. It will come back to you, rather than when you lie to them. Tell them the truth about how much you think, the property should go. And also tell them, tell them the reasons why you think that their property should go at that much. So, and I believe that if you highlight it, I see no reason why, our names should continue to be ridiculed or why our names should be in disrepute. I believe that, sooner than later, people will begin to respect our profession and they will begin to hold us in high esteem. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I've communicated. I hope somebody...
All your submissions have been received. and considered. We have not made any changes to your submission as yet. We just want to bring to the attention of every member what has come from the various committees for consideration. I'll start with the general submissions. The registrar, according to the Act, is supposed to be the chief executive of the council, who is supposed to run the day-to-day activities of the institute. The proposed structure of the registrar's office is to have the registrar, the accounts clerk, receptionist, and an office owner. As regards members have submitted various suggestions here. Group 4 suggested that the scale of fees should be probably less than 250 million fashion, should be 10% commission. And from 250 million to 500 million, the commission should be between 7.5 to 10%. And from 500 million to 1 billion, 5%. Above 1 billion, we suggest that is between 2.5 to 5%. Group 1 suggested rather that it should be less than 50 million. Up 50 million, give 10%. And from between 50 million to 150 million, it should be 7.5 to 10%. And above 500 million, it should be between 5 to 7.5%. On the other hand, Group 3 are suggesting that up to 200 million, it should be 10%. And from 201 million fascia of a property to 3 billion, it should be between 5 and 7%. This probably can maybe develop most agents to another level. I hope it will be acceptable. And from 3 billion and above, it should be between 2 to 5%. I hope you're happy with that. Now, Group 3 submitted these are the submissions from these are proposals and submissions. When we move on to there's another issue of late payment, membership payment. It is suggested that February and the penalties they have increased to 1,000 units for late payment. And also the requirements, the other submission that the requirements for the registration should be that the applicant should have a registered office with physical address, telephone numbers, landline and cell phone, and mobile numbers, email address, fax, registered with PACRO, and the tax, the TPI number. And it's also suggested that all registered agents should display on their adverts, should display the logo of the institute. It's not the final submissions. These submissions will be fine-tuned to meet the requirements of the law. Some submission which was left on the table However, we still have time to, it's time to hear it. There are no definitions in the SI regarding what's the mandate, who's the client, vendor, and the purchaser. So there's a suggestion that this should be included for a proper understanding. Unless there's any other comment, this is what is going to be considered by the council, drafted into a framework which is acceptable to forward to the Minister of Local Government and Housing for onward transmission to final drafting of the SI.
Okay, thank you very much. The reason why we thought it's important to present this summary is so that all of us know the issues that have been raised. Thankfully, there's a draft which all of us had, but we thought it's still important to see what issues are being highlighted by the members, so that when the final draft is done, we are all sure that there's nothing that's been left out which we think is important. And as I indicated, at some point, hopefully we'll get the email addresses for everybody here. We should be able to circulate the final format that will actually be presented to the minister, so that in case there's something that hasn't been captured, we can then make sure it's included. I'll allow just two questions or comments. One is Barbara.
Yes, I noticed you only read just one portion of the submissions, and if I heard you correctly, you had said that whatever submissions are going to be here, they will be read out, so that at the end of the day, when they are, engrafted in the SI, nobody says, where did this come from? Yeah. Now, does that mean that the other submissions that we made, they will be left out because only one has been highlighted? For example, on the fees, in our group, we had suggested that instead of having fees, structured in relation to the amount, or the values of properties, let's do like what lawyers do. Because lawyers' fees, or is it commissions, is it 5 to 10% or something like that? Because as time goes, we know that our money loses value. Like today, when you look at the scale of fees which is on the table, it doesn't make sense because the culture has lost so much value. Now, why should we maintain that 1 billion is 5%? Let's say that, for example, that the commission will be between 5 to 10%, or as the okay, at least we give a guidance 5 to 10%. And then I think the other issues also there which are highlighted, like for example, the SI interchanges. At some point it will say the seller, at another point it will say the vendor. So we are delighted to say that can there be an adoption of one, either it's a seller or it's a vendor, rather than saying here seller, then tomorrow you say the vendor and that kind of thing. And also I think there are a few others. Oh yeah, on the offer, communication of offer, that is also an important issue, which unless I've missed it, I haven't get it here. The SI talks of communication of the offer to be in writing. But if you look at our markets, the way it works, you don't get offers in writing. We get verbal offers. And it's difficult to pursue the buyer to say, can you please write and sign your signature before I communicate the offer? Conditions also are taken into consideration.
Yeah, thank you for the other presentations, but I'm glad you've actually highlighted, especially the last one, in terms of the scale of fees. The other's qualification for registration, it was covered. Did you suggest at least 21 years? What did you mean?
That's it. For somebody to be registered, at least they should be 21 years old, rather
Oh.
than 18.
Okay, I thought you said they should practice for 21 years. Rather than 18. Okay, thank you. Offer to be in writing, that was covered. Consent to a fixed poster to notice, that was covered. That's why we didn't do it. It's not that we wanted to ignore. SI should adopt one word. Okay, that's been noted. Vendor or seller, words not to be interchanged, we've taken note. We actually agreed that all the submissions will be filed, so that you can actually refer to them later on to make sure that nothing is missed. So your comment is well appreciated. One more comment.
An issue whereby when everything has been compiled, instead of taking direct to the Minister for signing, probably should come back to the Council for approving the final document, sir.
The controlling will be done by voting.
because they don't provide that if there's any contested issue, should be voted by raising the hand and getting business. So therefore, the issue of from the submissions, each group has presented different scales of fees. Therefore, we need because you have a class which is very representative, it's across the board, from down up, all levels. So I have I'm confident that the voting which will take place, you don't expect that, especially on the fee, you don't expect that what you have proposed will be accepted. Because so I don't know if there's any other comment to that, but all the submissions will go and vote in the council.
We always debate and vote, and afterwards it will go to Parliament for final approval. They will debate and vote. So probably I was looking at it after the council debates and votes. Probably that's what they can bring in, so that even us the members we can debate over the debate issues. As it is finally taken to the minister. Before, instead of just us looking at the document, what has been prepared by the council, we can absorb probably the cities who start we debate and vote on certain issues that we think will affect us.
Of fees to a vote. I was not so keen myself because I was thinking that group two's approach actually, there are actually two approaches here. The first approach is that one that is presented there. The second approach is what Barbara's group proposed, where we just say going by that approach or we're retaining this approach. That's the first thing to vote for. Agreeable?
Yes.
Yeah, so the first thing I would like us to vote on the approach where, like what the lawyers use, where we just say our fees are between 5 to 10%. So, first of all, those who are for the, Aaron, please count and record. So Aaron, you're not for this one. It's not a secret to Aaron. Okay? Those who are for the other approach where we say our scale of fee. No, she's not yet. Yeah, the results as follows. To divide the fees 8, the 5 to 10% approach, the second approach 9. So the second approach carries the day. Okay, it's agreed. Of 5 to 10%. Is there any other proposal before we vote on that?
When you count the amount of voters, can you be good?
Count.
Start counting by
21, if you include
19, 20.
In fact, 22 if you include me.
Okay, so 22. Okay, we will do the voting.
Yeah. You can't, yeah, okay. So please, we are doing it again. I'm asking again, first approach, the one that's on the board there. Those who are for that approach, could we see your hands?
Your hands should be very, very up.
Yeah, raise them high, please. Mr. Katwish, is that hand up? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. This debate about the, yeah. Okay, then the second, can I see the hands that are for that one? Could you raise your hand? I can't see it. Okay, we're talking about 10 from my count. 13, okay, the second round. The block type has carried the day again. Thank you. Okay, this should be recorded. It's official. What's happening here is official. Okay, then secondly, we have a proposal on the table, which group 2, Barbara's group, put down, that the scale of fees for us should be 5 to 10%. Before we vote on that, is there any other option? Now we're talking about the rate which should be involved in the scale of fee for estimation. Caroline, I can see your hand.
You know that inflation moves quite quickly.
Sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
Oh, well, it's like me for you. I can't hear you. And it's adjust these figures. So how easy is that to be done? And if we're talking about large sums of commission, or against a very large sale, for instance, a huge farm or shopping centre, 5% is actually quite high. If the sale value is over, you know, 5 billion.
Yeah, Carla. So what's your proposal? Because Barbara is 5 to 10.
Is that, you know, it's lower.
Yeah, what? Give us a proposal.
It's 2%.
1 to what? 0 to what?
2%.
2% to? Because it says
10%.
2 to 10%. Okay, fine. So we have two proposals on the table. There's 5 to 10, 2 to 10. Any other proposal before we?
These people who normally come to us and offloading properties, they are very clever. Whether we say it's 5 to 10, they would come and tell you that I've got a complex like, is it Pick and what?
Pick and Pay, Woodlands Shopping Complex.
Woodlands Shopping Complex there. 5, you get 5% because the property. That one, 5 to 10 is okay. We just leave it like that, 5 to 10. Because when the potential customers like that, when they come in a group. You have a meeting in your office. You start negotiating now. When we bring this property to you, how much? See, looking at your guidance, 10 to 5, we can't go, we can't sign that. Then you start negotiating.
Okay. Liable to discipline. So that's why we need to be very careful. So
charge for a commission is 10%, but otherwise it's a negotiable number, so that you when the clients come, they can start negotiating with you from 10%, and they bring you to a figure which they feel.
So you're saying 10% negotiable?
Yes, 10% negotiable.
Okay. Yes. Any other proposal? The last one is from Mali.
I was looking at 5 billion, could be 2.5 to 7, then those others between 5 and 10%.
So sorry, so your proposal is what? 5?
My proposal for properties which are very expensive, say 5 billion and above, if it can be 3 to 5%, and the others 5 to 10, those which are less than.
Okay, let me just get it proper.
Between 5 billion and above, it can be 3% to 5%. But those which are less than that, it should be 5 to 10%.
Okay, less than 3 billion. We have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 proposals. The second one is 2 to 10%. The third one is 2.5 to 10%. The third one is 3.5 to 10%. The fifth one is 3% to 10%. The sixth one is 10% negotiable. So 10% is like an average that you can negotiate either way. And the last one is less than 3 billion, 5%. Above 3 billion, 3 to 5%. As we vote, we agree on this, it goes into the SI, we hear that you've charged something outside that we discipline and will not discuss or negotiate.
This is a professional body we are trying to establish with strong foundations. Yeah. If you say 10% negotiable, it can means from 10% to 0. Yes. And many situations happen that this property, anything, commissioner, anything. I mean, anything. It means from 10% to anything. Yes. So we aren't here to waste our time for anything. Therefore, we have to be very specific from over the scale. Yes. So I try to disagree with one proposal to say 10%. It's not a scale. It's open-ended, from 10% to 0. So there's no who can vote for 0. I will not want to sell property for 0 or for anything. I want something specific. Yes. I don't know what your comment is.
Okay, I think that's agreed. That's really what we're trying to get away from. So the electoral. Yes.
But sir, I thought that we agreed from 5% to
10%.
So when you vote, we concur the majority.
Yes. Yes.
You proceed.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense for me. So the way I'm looking things, again, we want to go back again.
No, I think maybe, sorry, I hope I'm not cutting you. prematurely.
I understand that this one is already
Out.
So
now we have
so
we 5 to 10%. We can't impose that. We could have just said, okay, done. In the SI we say 5 to 10. But we'd like everybody here to agree with that proposal, if that is what is agreeable, or to vote for another proposal, if that's what is agreeable. So that when we walk out of here, we don't say, that's Barbara's proposal, or Barbara's group. We'd like to say, it's something that we all agreed. For example, if we agree that it will be 5 to 10, we should all say that's what we've agreed. So that's why we are voting. It's not that we are going back to that. We just want to be sure that the proposal on the table has been accepted by everybody, and everybody will be willing to subject that. Okay, so let's, yes, Mrs. Chikwande, because you haven't said anything.
I penalized if you agree on a smaller percentage, and I think that has to be taken into account. I mean, if you're going to sell something...
Let Caroline make a proposal. You know,
she did make a proposal.
What was the proposal? Yeah, we're voting here. You know what you're doing is you're really going back on. Caroline explained that she put a proposal down. She said, I think she said 2% to 10.
Yes, okay.
So, yes, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
But at the same time, my concern is, if you're going to put, I understand her position when she's saying 2% for a larger property, right? For a bigger commission.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're going to say 2% to
10%,
like he said, we have very clever clients out there. A client would come in and say, according to the statutory instrument, you're supposed to meet me between 2 to 10%. So I think, I know it may be like we're going back, but I think it has to be stated that maybe this 2% to 5% should be for, yes, we may have to go back to this.
No, Mrs. Scott. Actually, let me just explain something. Maybe we haven't understood Barbara's group's proposal. According to this system, to divide the kind of jobs you get into brackets, but whatever brackets you come up with, they should fall within 2 to 10%. So it's your capacity to negotiate here now that is key. So the client can't come to you and say, look, it says 2 to 10%, so you charge me 2. You know the job involved, you know the cost that will be incurred. So that's 2 to 10%. But we should not find that you've charged 1% because what we've had. Okay, I'd like to back to discussions. Can we vote, please? The proposals are, the first one is 5%, the third one is 2.5 to 10%, the fourth one is 3.5 to 10%, the last one is 2 to 5. Hi.
Please, if you are judging, we'll give you half vote.
Okay, so 3 votes for 2 to 10%. Okay, then we go to 3%, sorry, 2.5 to 10%. Those who are for 2.5 to 10%. 2 votes. Okay, then thirdly, those who are for 3 to 10%. 3 to 10%. 4 hands, okay, please let's record. Then those who are for 3.5 to 10%. 3.5 to 10%. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, am I counting correctly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for 3.5 to 10%. And lastly, those who are for 5 to 10%. 5 to 10%. 5 to 10%. 1, 2, 3. You have actually put on 3. Electron. Yeah, 3.58, 3 to 10, 4, 5 to 10, 4, 2.5 to 10, 2, 2% to 10, 3. So 3.5 to 10 carries the day. Let me just emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, this is going into the SI. We are professionals. We must be honorable to stick to what we have agreed. If you find that along the way as we go,